window, because if I don't put YouTube in its own window, it quits. It doesn't like being a tab. All right, we're good here. So, hey everyone, welcome to the New Media Show. My name is Todd Cochran. Of course, I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Rob Greenlee. Rob, how you doing?
I'm doing terrific, Todd. Great to be back again. Boy, these days go by fast between episodes. Hard to remember sometimes what we talked about last Wednesday and what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, and when you're a little bit of a week separation, it's
Right.
it's a little easier to stay concentrated on what's actually happened. I'm sitting here, but otherwise, I think I'm just this past week. I don't know. I woke up Friday and I was like, where did this week go? It just was, shoo, and it was gone. Here we are already on August 1. I'm just like, what's going on? August,
I know, exactly.
It's like, and here in Michigan, I'm starting to think, I'm going to have to start thinking about give her a couple months, but getting my pants back out, it's not, it'll be warm here into, late September, but I'm just like, my God, it's like this 2020, we just might as well take it and flush 2020 down the toilet. It's
right. Oh, it's been a real doozer of one, hasn't it?
It has. And, I've got some real suffering is starting to happen too. And there's, I've got friends in Hawaii who they're locked down still. They're making people quarantine until the end of August. You can't come there as a tourist, and it's devastating. I mean, absolutely brutally devastating. And businesses now, I'm seeing businesses here starting, they were able to withstand a certain extent, but the governor in this state has just been brutal to businesses. And I think the ramifications of this whole thing is we've yet to see it all.
Oh, yeah. I think and what, as of today, the unemployment benefits expire. So, or the bonus.
The bonus money. But maybe that'll motivate some people to go back to work, because I was talking to someone that was in the healthcare space, right, and specifically some folks that went out on sabbatical from nursing homes. Right. And they said, "Oh, I've got kids and I got family and blah, blah, blah. I don't want to come to work." And they wanted them back to work. But now that the extra money's out, maybe some of those folks will be more motivated to go back to work.
That's if there's any job for them to have, right?
Well, I think, the individual I knew, there's a huge shortage. They took 12 of their nurses and they sent them to Amarillo, Texas to supplement a nursing home down there, just because people are calling out. So, I don't know. I guess that's just one field of many.
Yeah, right. Well, I saw here the last couple of days, some more detailed information came out about the SiriusXM deal, and some more information came out about Spotify as earnings calls happened. So there's some interesting little tidbits in some of these numbers.
Yeah, Spotify's still losing money, right?
Well, yeah. Well, they did show that they have 299 million monthly active users, up 29% from a prior year, and 62 million have listened to a podcast on that platform.
That really puts a bumper in Tom Webster's data, doesn't it? If 62 million people have listened on Spotify, that's higher than what's listened in regular podcasts and Apple Podcasts and so forth.
Yeah. So I guess it depends on how they're counting that, right, Todd?
Right. It's all the devil's in the details, right?
Right. I'm sure it's not IEB certified counting method.
Well, they do have client-side data, so it should be pretty good. It should be pretty good information. Now, do they count people twice or once? Or
well, do they count just by clicking the play button, or are
Oh,
they,
right.
what's the buffer on that? My guess
Yeah.
is that if you've even touched a play button around a podcast, it's getting counted.
Well, I'll take, that's 62 million. That just, that's
a big number.
It's a big number. It's good.
Yeah, it says it's up 19% from, I don't know if that's the prior quarter or
Yeah,
what we're
I
talking about
haven't
here.
got that particular article open,
Yeah. Right.
but it's also being rumored. Oh, go ahead.
Well, their catalog has got 1.5 million shows.
Mm-hmm.
It says of which 50% of them were launched in 2020. Yeah. Well, that's probably not. That actually kind of makes sense, Todd, when you think about it.
But they left out a very important fact. How many of
Right.
those are still active shows?
Well, yeah, of course they're not going to say that. But if you think about it, I think 2019, I think we were at 800,000 shows.
Yeah, probably.
And then since the end of the year, I think it's grown.
But if you go back and start looking at active shows, the number of active shows has not increased that much.
So have you gone and looked at Daniel's page yet on the active stuff yet?
I haven't looked at his shows and looked at his site maybe a month, but I kind of know what we internally see.
Yeah. So it would be interesting to pop over there and take a look at that. But
I do define an active show that's produced a new episode in the last 90 days.
Yeah, right.
So,
yeah, but it said podcast revenue is small, Todd. You know that on Spotify.
Well, of course, because okay, so what is revenue offset on Spotify?
They don't talk about that.
No, right. They don't. Revenue small because they have a limited number of shows that they own. And then they've been paying a lot of money for content, a lot, millions of dollars. And then you look at it in reverse. I guess the question is, when do they start monetizing against us? That's the question.
Well, it does say that what revenue they are getting is outperforming other advertising on Spotify.
Why is that surprising? It's... We've known this for 15 years.
Right. So, and
yet we have a measurement problem.
Right. And all this data is on the podnews.net.
Yeah.
And a newsletter. So if you want to go over and check that out, actually, I got Mr. James Cridlin booked to be on our show next Wednesday.
Oh, awesome. I woke up late this morning, Rob. Actually, I woke up really late this morning. I hit the alarm clock. I sleep into Saturdays to 8 a.m. But I hit the alarm clock and I woke up at 10:30. I never sleep in, ever. So I'm already grumpy. So just be prepared today. I'm going to be, I guess, a bit of an ass when it comes to some of these numbers.
Just be prepared.
Yeah, just a fair warning, audience. Just a fair warning.
Yeah, right.
I shouldn't be grumpy. I got 2.5 hours extra sleep.
No, Todd, you should be ready to go and well rested.
I didn't get no breakfast. That's the problem.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah,
that's it. Low blood sugar levels.
Yeah, that's I'm sure the Red Bull is helping on an empty stomach.
Yeah.
But, hey, did you know podcasting is finally big business?
I know. I did see that article. And the DW, which I believe is a German publication, right?
So, I think they refer to it as, just these deals and all this stuff that's going on and the content deals and, and talks about the platforms and so forth and the money being spent. And, I just, matter of fact, I had we get a revenue report that's published every day, but I don't usually look at it until the end of the day. And I looked at our revenue report today and I'm like, oh, pretty good month. A decent month. It's been a decent year so far, looking at growth. And I think that just based on the space, it's all kind of spread out. We all get a little bit of it, of new business coming in. But, the real money still is in all these content deals, in comparison.
That hasn't always been the case, though. I mean, the early days of this meeting, it was all about the technology, right? That's
right.
where the value was.
Yeah.
Content was always seen as high-risk investment.
Yeah. And for some, I think it still is a bit of a high risk, but I think for some, they're doing very, very well.
And definitely things have switched on that. I'm not sure that technology is quite as valued as much, though the acquisition price for Simplecast was disclosed
at $28 million.
So,
that's an incredible number. Based on what I know the size of their business was, and for me, that's big news.
Right.
If they got acquired for $28 million, wow. That was many multiples of revenue. I mean, like many, many multiples of revenue. Just based on simple math, so that bodes well for if someone ever comes to try buying me, I guess.
Yeah.
Or you guys get $1 billion.
We get $1 billion. Is that right?
Well, if you look at the multiple they used for Simplecast, you guys are probably worth. Well, let me do the math. Let me think about that. Hey, you guys,
expensive, probably.
You guys would be worth at least. I gotta quick do the math here because I'm just thinking about the multiple. And again, it's an incredible multiple.
Right. Yeah. I'm not sure what that would be.
Well, you just have to if you do the math based upon how many hosting customers they had. And there's some other stuff that has to go into that too, but let's see here. Yeah, you guys, so you guys should be.
So how many hosting customers do you think they had?
I know, but I'm not going to say.
You're not going to say?
No.
Okay.
But, well, anyone can do this. This is not a hard thing. You have to do some trolling of the data. You got to look at where the media origination comes from.
Well, our number of customers is public information.
Right, because you're a public company. So you guys release that information. Right. And
we're around 70,000.
Right. Now, granted, we always say we have between 70 and 80,000 customers, but they're not all paying because there's a segment of them that use our free stats.
The PowerPress plugin.
Yeah.
Right,
well,
sure.
It's a common. Well, we more look at the number of stats users and hosting customers, and then there's a combination thereof, and then PowerPress. So we don't have as near as many hosting customers as you guys have, but I think that knowing just by looking at the metadata of where Simplecast was, they did very, very well on their deal. I mean, they did very well. I want to figure out who the M&A firm is that they hired, because I'm going to hire them. That's a great number. And congratulations to them. They get $28 million. Fantastic. Super payday for those folks.
Right. Well, and that was a paid platform too. So that even is good too. I mean, Anchor, who knows Anchor, what Anchor sold for? I don't think we'll ever know exactly what Anchor was sold for because it's probably a lot of fuzzy numbers flying around there.
Well, I think what was settled was between 75 and 125 million.
Yeah,
for Anchor,
for a platform that wasn't bringing in any revenue,
no revenue
to speak of.
Right, and there's no reason why if you guys were ever to be looked to be acquired, you guys would be anything less than 500 to 750 million based upon these multiples people are paying.
Right.
So that's just my guess.
Right. Yeah.
because you publicly say what your revenue numbers are, and if we apply simplecast type of multiple,
right, yeah,
or Anchor, you guys are worth like $2 trillion. No, like I just 2 billion. Yeah, I'm joking here, but
well, but there is a factor too that the higher that dollar amount gets to, the fewer potential
buyers, right? Yeah.
Suitors are, right?
Right.
So that's the other side of it.
And being that Sirius and Pandora both shot their shot, then who's left to buy stuff? Does it come back to the way I look at it is well, who do we have left? Well, we have television people left to buy podcasting companies. So
there's a few other players there that could get involved.
Yeah, sure.
Right. And so there's a rumor flying around about one of them right now.
Okay, maybe I'm not in on that rumor. So we got
big e-commerce company.
Oh yeah. Well, you guys already announced that Amazon's doing stuff.
No, about the acquisition.
Oh, they're buying somebody?
I don't know. I've heard rumors that
they might be looking. Oh, interesting. Now, on the other part, I do know that without saying too much, that there is going to be some delays of some rollouts because of what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
So, not all the expansion is not as some expansion is not going to happen as fast as many of us want, but
yes.
And being very
that
vague.
happens though. I mean that happens. Things get pushed back, changes in priorities and resources and all sorts of things.
But in the end, Rob, we're all talking about this big money, and the rest of those listening to us are just rolling their eyes saying, you guys are just hoping to get rich. And really, it isn't that case, No. I think even, in reality set forth, if someone came in to buy Blueberry, there would have to be a long conversation about compatibility, how we take care of the podcasters, take care of the staff. I mean, there's
talks between companies going on all the time.
Right. So, there has to be some synergy. Just can't, you just can't have your eyeball on the cash.
Yeah, because you have to be able to function together.
And not only that, you got to make sure that the podcasters can remain happy and you take care of them and all that stuff that goes on. So,
and it's not as simple as it seems.
Right? No, not at all. And I think that in the end, what we need to figure out and what's severely lacking in this is all this money is being spent. Look at the crazy amount of, insane amounts of dollars. I'm happy for the space, but the content creators ain't getting shit.
Yeah.
Did
you see the quote from the Sirius XM CEO, Jim Meyer?
Yeah.
Who said, I don't know what the viability is of podcast as a standalone business. That was a direct quote. The Sirius XM CEO said, I believe that the podcasting game is in its first inning. That's what the Sirius XM CEO said. The chief content officer, Scott Greenstein, said, I don't know about the viability of podcasting as a standalone business. The business of podcasting is very nascent.
Yep.
And you can tell by the numbers, not many podcasts do very significant numbers.
Oh, so they're just figuring this out. Well, here, and you're also very insignificant numbers on a single platform. Look at your stats, ladies and gentlemen, and look at how many views or listens or downloads you get on Sirius.
Sirius is just getting into the game. It was Pandora. It was Pandora.
But let's just talk about it though.
Right.
They don't even break out in the top 10.
Well, frankly, they don't have much content.
No. Well, no, they've got a huge number of, well, Pandora doesn't have a huge number of shows.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
That's one.
So,
Yeah.
we can go around the block here and talk about, the other company that's out there. iHeart. I bet you the content statement is the same.
Yeah.
Because iHeart doesn't get shit for downloads for they don't even they promote that it's amazing how much money they spend promoting and then how little impact it has across the board on a global scale on how many people download and listen to a show on those platforms. Yeah, they can making all this big news and information, but who's winning? Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. But Spotify numbers were down for us 2 months consecutively.
Yeah, I attended that global summit with Rain.
Yeah.
It was a virtual event that happened a couple days ago, and the founder and CEO of Simplecast was there. I think it's Brad Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking about how this whole targeting thing and about how the industry needs to move away from the download.
Of course.
So you can kind of see a little bit around corporate philosophy and the direction that Simplecast was shooting towards, and how that could be seen as an alignment with a Sirius XM Pandora type of a solution.
Because downloads don't pay the bills for them. They have to change the narrative.
Right.
And in the end, devalue the product so that they can get their $6 CPMs on Remnant and just run it as part of inventory.
Right. So it's the whole view that he was talking about during his session about trying to move towards a unique listener, right? Trying to go down that path, and this was a topic in the IAB discussion, right, around the metric. Is around do we shift away from downloads, talk about listens and audience, and there's some really credible reasons why you don't want to do that.
Yep.
In this medium, but yet that narrative is continuing, especially with the streaming platforms, because they all think that they're doing streaming with this stuff,
right?
And they're not. It's this kind of a little bit of a deception about what's.
You still there? Oh, the train going by. You had to mute.
Well, no one wants to hear it.
So I was trying to log in here. I'm trying to get to my stats dashboard, my master stats dashboard. Let's see here.
So yes, so the effort to change the conversation away from downloads is continuing, and as you think about these streaming platforms, that's how they think, right? They're trying to get, and they're able to get client side data. That's the side to it, and that's part of where this discussion is coming from.
Right,
is that they can get that that considered streaming type of data out of their platforms, but most of the hosting platforms can't. Podcast hosting platforms can't get that data.
Right.
So, yeah.
And again, in the end, it goes back to how do you sustain this space, because the independent content creators have got to be made whole at some point. And I really think it's something we have to really consider.
Well, and is it going to more and more move towards? I mean, these deals that we're seeing, is it moving towards more of a hit-driven media, right?
And but it's not hit. There's no such thing, Rob.
No, I know, but that's the mental philosophy that these music streaming platforms have, is hit-driven, right?
Yeah.
Larger media companies have that as their they want to work with the most popular shows. They want to work with the ones that have the biggest scale. That's their focus.
Mm-hmm.
They're not really set up or think about offering indie content across hundreds of thousands of shows. What they want is like top 200 shows.
Yeah.
So, and that's not necessarily good for podcasting, and it's actually very short-sighted on their part. They don't really, I mean, at least Spotify gets that side right. It took us years in convincing them because they started out like Pandora did, looking for the hits.
Right.
So, Spotify gets it, and you can see the impact of that. Spotify's captured a large share of the market, where Sirius Pandora's strategy hasn't.
I'm trying to get to my master dashboard here. I have this all locked in on my other machine because I was just gonna. There we go. Now I had to remember the master password.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here is that the right one? Or is it that one?
What are you trying to get into?
I'm trying to get to the point where I can talk about the. I'm going to bring up. I've got the information here where I can actually bring up the, talk about percentages and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That's the right button. Yes, click that. Should be able to log in. Now, what happens right now is the button I just hit caused my server farm to launch about 5 more servers because I have the master access to all 80,000 shows.
Oh, okay. And so it spun up your instance. Yeah,
because it took about 3 seconds or 5 seconds here because now I'm looking at 82,563 shows. A global view. So let's look at July. And let's look at, what do you want to know about July? Let's look at probably the most important thing that's out there is let's just look at the world and see where consumption is today in the world. And I think I just caused 10 more servers to be launched because I've got the loading button on the it's querying the database. It'll take when you're doing these types of big queries, it takes a little bit to get the data back.
Oh, it does. Yeah. Is that on the Amazon Web Services platform?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So there's the information. So I've got 237 countries. Didn't really realize there was that many countries. Oh, what am I doing here? Back up. Click this again. And world. And I'll just give you like the top 10. That's according to us. So United States, Canada, United Kingdom, Brazil, Australia, Germany, Japan, Czech Republic, France. That is what we see, at least in the top 10 from our company. And more than 50% of that was the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm waiting for it to load again. I was going to tell you which one the smallest one was. Why is it doing that? It's denying me some access, so I'll have to talk to Angelo. So let me talk about clients. Maybe I can give you the top 10 clients. Wrong button.
Yeah, are you going to show it on the screen?
No. No. No, this is intel that you have to pay for.
Oh, okay.
We don't sell it, though.
You're going to drip it out. That's what you're going to do.
Right, right.
Okay, I got it. It'll be like Chinese torture.
That's right. And so I'll wait for this client view to load. It's going to take a little bit. Again, it's crunching the numbers, I think. And I'm just oh, there it is. So Apple Podcast. It's interesting. This is actually interesting. So Apple Podcast is at 46.5%. iPhone podcast app and player, though, is another 19%. Then Podcast Addict.
70 right there.
Yeah. Podcast Addict, Android smartphone, Chrome, believe it or not, Chrome desktop is in this list, Chrome mobile, Overcast, and Stitcher Radio for Android is in our, let's see, what color is Stitcher Radio? Stitcher Radio globally. No, that's not it. It's the wrong color. Stitcher Radio for Android is at 2.3%. So it's not too bad globally still.
All right.
Overcast 2.9, Chrome Mobile 3.1, Chrome Desktop 3.6, Android smartphone 4.4, Podcast Addict 5.2 out. So
didn't hear. Yeah, did you say Spotify yet?
No, of course not.
Okay.
So yeah, that's that's just some of this little bit of itty bitty data there. Itty bitty.
So how many total shows are you showing right now?
I think I said 82,000 was that was some that we're measuring.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I was talking about the whole space. Yeah, because you're keeping up. I mean, you're keeping a whole catalog.
Right. So far as the whole space goes.
Right.
Let me look. And there are some dupes here. As a matter of fact, we're in a heavy dedupe mode right now. Oh yeah, they've been deduping. So my number's down. Dedupe number right now is 1,346,171.
Okay.
So we deduped about 70,000 shows. Because I basically have been a little frustrated because we've been way ahead. I mean, really way ahead, like 100,000 ahead of some of the other reported numbers out there.
Mm-hmm.
And we're also deleting shows that are dead. I mean, like there are no feed and either there's no episodes. So we're removing, matter of fact, we removed a massive number of shows that had no feed and no, so that's part of, and we're way ahead of that in the Apple sphere because Apple doesn't delete, they only delete incrementally, little by little. They don't want their number going down. So if they had 1.5 million in their registry and they add 5,000 shows, they only delete 2,000 shows to keep their number still going up. You never see the Apple podcast number go down. That would be bad from a reporting standpoint. For us, we don't care. We got rid of everything that was, no feed or no media, and deduped the actual podcast names by RSS feed and a whole bunch of stuff. So right now, 1,346,000 total.
It's been a year, a couple of years since Apple's released any numbers about the size of their catalog too. I've noticed.
But you can get that from the API.
Right.
So,
but publicly they haven't released.
No. So yeah, we've removed a whole bunch of stuff. That number's, I know that the team's been working on it. I haven't been in here because I hear the report in our daily discussions where they're running scripts and it's real tricky because you have to. Well, the deduping is a big effort. Just a big effort. I probably spent a couple of weeks dev time deduping the directory list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is a big effort.
Yeah.
There's lots of variables you have to take into account.
Yeah, and if a person has a stats account, and even though they're still a customer and they've logged in the past, so many years, we don't want to delete even if their feed is offline, and even if their media is offline, they had a stats account. We want to make the stats account inactive, so it's not part of our active count. It's all these things, and believe me, database space has gotten. We've got every episode in the system since 2005. that's ever been produced in the podcasting space. So that's a lot of entries.
Right.
So I think this is a pretty good number. 1,346,000 shows, viable shows where you can still subscribe to and listen to them, even if they're produced in 2006.
So any other stats out of there of significance that you're seeing?
Let's see here.
Are smart speakers doing any better?
I'm going to go reload this list.
Because Tom Webster did an article, I don't know if you saw it in his newsletter this week, talking about the smart speakers.
Yeah. If everything's worked right and I've got the right admin account, I just logged in under Angelo's account. So if any account has full access, his does. Again, it's loading. Let me see where I can find a smart speaker at. Don't know if I can give you a percentage. I can probably tell you where it's at in the list. Because we get the raw numbers and then I have to, put it in a spreadsheet and convert it. The field we haven't added. It's still loading. But I got a historical, the complete history of downloads. I know how many in our system, and I can't announce that either. If I hit take on the screen, I'd show this data on the screen and get fired.
You would get fired?
Yeah. Well, there's certain stuff I'm probably allowed to talk about and share, but probably that's not a number that the team wants on the street.
That's probably true. But just not. Oh, go ahead.
But I will say that it is in the billions.
Yeah, bet.
Wow, this is taking forever.
So I've noticed a couple other things bubbling around out there too. I saw an article from the folks from Pacific Content on Medium and why your podcast needs a show Bible. I don't know if you've heard about this or not.
No, I haven't.
It's similar to a playbook about your podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like it's typically being done for consultants that are working with clients, right?
Right.
That are hired to be like leads of their new podcast, right? Come up with the idea and do the research and do all this stuff. And I think it's an interesting thing to think about from the standpoint is probably be good for us to talk a bit about what a successful podcast looks like right now and how to build one, right? Because there's a lot of people getting into the space right now, and are there, little things that new people can do to increase their chances of finding an audience and being a success? Todd, we talk about all the time how there's all these new podcasters coming in the medium, but a lot of them are going to bot fade and go away. But what if they had a roadmap, or that gave them a better chance of succeeding with their podcast? I think there's people out there that are trying to do that, right? There's a growing number of podcast consultants or people that are taking on projects and leading them. And this is kind of what this article is about how to go through a step of question to help you understand what your show's about, who's it for, why are you making it, what's the feel of it, what's the audio branding of it, and how is it different than other podcasts that are trying to do the same thing. So I don't know what you think about those kinds of documents, right? And that's what it is. It's almost like a business plan for your podcast, right? It's kind of what I equate it to. I think they get all fancy about how it's all this different, but it's really a business plan for your podcast,
right?
At the end of the day, and I know you and I have never done really anything like this for any of the podcasting that we've done, but it's a completely different podcast market now too, and very much more competitive now than it was back when we started. Todd, if you think about it, if you were to have started Geek News Central like today, do you think that you could have achieved the same level of success
It was
through
using
the
this.
same methodology that you went through?
Yep.
Think so?
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. Because again, Geek News Central would have existed already if I was starting today.
Right.
It already had a base traffic level. If I go back to my 2004 traffic levels, it had some traffic level. So
Right.
I would have started with the same velocity, at least, if it was started today and had those traffic levels. So I probably would have jumped to 500, 600, 700 listeners right off the bat. But if I'd followed the same strategy, I think even today out of and here's the crux of it. We see it because, well, we have a phrase for it. We call it the Blueberry Way, and we know that shows that are, and this is specific. This is a specific formula.
Mhm.
We know that shows that are invested in their own websites, are putting out content on their own website, that start a podcast, that use whatever they have for their current website, whether their list or with their whoever they're connecting with. It just gives them this, it gives them a good kick head start. Now, if you're brand new and you're just launching your website today for the first time, yeah, it's going to take a little longer to get going. But again, if you follow the methodology of you have to create more content than just your podcast content, you have to be able to put out periodic blog posts at least once a week about stuff that's going on that you talk about to build authority. There's, I've got a presentation I give it 2 years in a row about how to build your authority and user base and engagement in your podcast. And it's the formula that it's the formula we share with all our podcasters, that we tell this is how you build is it going to take a week? No, this is a 2 year.
Right.
Yeah, it's 2 years. And if you follow this and do the things we tell you to do, talk with radio, talk with TV, talk with newspaper, blog, do the social piece, potentially write a book from your content, all this stuff.
Right.
That's going to build you a successful show. If you are just having fun, you don't care about that. And that formula they don't worry about that formula. If you're just meeting with a friend and doing a show over beers and you're just discussing and you got your audience, they don't care about a formula
Right.
to build their show.
I mean, I think this show is a good example of a fairly loose strategy.
Yeah.
Sure, we're both professionals in the podcasting medium. We both done successful shows and have worked with many and in building successful shows. But this show is not necessarily a perfect example of what necessarily you should do. But I think we come at this show a little bit differently. I mean, we definitely have a philosophy about what we're doing with this show. But it's kind of unique to us, though.
Yeah.
I don't know that a lot of other people could pull this show off the way we. But I'm not sure. I mean, what's your thought on this show, Todd? I mean, I've got my thought on it, but I mean, why has this show grown?
I think because we're just brutally honest.
Yeah.
And, we get a periodic great guest on to talk about stuff. We treat people fairly. It's, we just share what we think and our observations. And we probably, be honest with you, probably both of our companies cringe a little bit sometimes when we share so much.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
And, they probably would wish I wouldn't say what I'm just about ready to say, and because my client list finally loaded here. The servers they're pouring ice on them right now. So if I count down here, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Guess what the 12th most popular podcast app was in June for us.
12th most?
12th most. The Google app.
The Google app.
Guess what was 13th?
Pandora?
Spotify for Android. Guess what was 14th? Spotify for iOS. Now, if I combine Spotify for Android and Spotify for iOS combined, I take those two numbers, then that takes them to, let me go back up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, puts them 7th for us. They would be the 7th most popular platform for us with iOS and Android combined. I break it out by Spotify, by Android, and by iOS. But still, remarkably to me, which is really, really, truly remarkable, maybe it's because we have such a heavy WordPress, PowerPress / player presence, Chrome desktop and Chrome mobile in our list. This is shocking. If I add those numbers together, they're number 2 for us.
Mm-hmm.
In the amount of actual interactions. That's, to me, is that number's changed quite a bit over the last few months. I don't know where it's all coming from, but so it's really surprising here what's going on. But if that's good news on the Google front, if they've at least for us moved up that far. Now let me go to the bottom of the stack. I will tell you this number. Pod Puppy, Palm Classic, Zencast, Pocket Tunes, all globally for our platform got 1 download each. I've never even heard of Pod Puppy. Don't even know who that is. Remember Doppler? It got 3. Podbreeze got 4. Oh, Google TV, horrible. Okay, you want to know about so probably, but let's see if I can find the Amazon device first. Where do they fall?
Speaker
stuff? Smart speaker stuff. Oh, so believe it or not, at least in our system, Pandora for iOS and Pandora for Android is, and if I look at iHeart for radio, where's iHeart for Android? Where do they fall? Oh, way down. No, iHeart for iOS. Holy crap. iHeart does better on the Android side than it does on the iOS. So if I look at those numbers combined, Pandora is doing better by a significant amount than Pandora is combined. Oh, significant amount. Double. Pandora's doing double, at least on our platform, what iHeart's doing. This would be a good, we ought to publish this report. This would make people don't want to see this report. Because this is 80,000 shows. This is a pretty good sampling of what's really going on. Let me go down further. So again, I was looking for smart speakers. Oh my God, I got to keep going further.
Well, I think what it is, Todd, too, is it's a testament to the strength of the long-standing platform, right? They're holding on to their users. These new entrants are not really capturing that much.
Apple TV is doing almost as much as iHeart's iOS app, almost equal. Deezer,
that's a visual experience.
Deezer is doing almost as much as iHeart iOS. Roko's doing half of what iHeart's doing. Oh, there. So let me go. There's Kindle by Amazon. Oh, that's horrible. I mean, it's not even worth. So I'll tell you where the cutoff is to get.
Well, Todd,
go ahead.
the other factor on this too is how many of the shows that you work with on your platform are actually in those catalogs too. That's a variable on this as well,
It's
right?
a high majority, especially on iHeart.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an interesting that would be a good exercise, Rob, but I don't want to do the research on that to go and look and verify all those shows are on all those platforms.
Right. Because I would think that would be a metric against what those numbers show.
Yeah, you'd be right. There'd be an offset.
Right.
So I'm just looking at raw numbers with no, So the break off, just as you can imagine, we start at 6 digits for the top network. So that means over 100 million downloads for the top network. It very quickly goes to 5 digits. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 16 clients that do over between 1 million and 99 million downloads. There's only one client that does over 100 million downloads.
So when you say client, you're talking about listening platform.
I'm talking about the iOS app, talking about Podcast Addict, Android, Overcast. So there's only 16 clients that do over 1 million downloads. And then
what span of time?
In a 1 month period. I'm looking at June numbers right now. And only one client, at least in our system, that we see do over 100 million total downloads. Now, if we go lower, and if I go down to 6 figures, in other words, below 1 million, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. There's an additional, so 20 additional clients that do between 100,000 and 1 million. So far that's 37 clients. And then everything else is below, is down to, actually, did I say that right earlier? 6 figures? No, 7, 8, 9 figures. What is 100? What's over 100 million? That's 9 figures.
Right.
Yeah, so over 9 figures. There's only one client that does over 9 figures. And then below 100,000, that's the rest. And I'm measuring a total of 130 clients. That's the total we're seeing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Pod Puppy is the lowest number. They have 1.
Yeah, I think the big takeaway, Todd, would be, it seems like, just based on the numbers I'm hearing, that Apple's not really losing share.
They are in certain segments. Yeah. So
they are. Okay.
Yeah. So if it really depends on how you look at it. I've got the calculation in here for we're not including it in totals right now, but the Apple Watch problem.
Right.
5 million downloads on the Apple Watch. That if reported would be over counted.
Right, but you're not counting.
No.
The Apple Watch.
No.
Yeah. And we aren't either on Lipson. Yeah.
But that's a 5 million download disparity. That's a 5 million download hit.
Yeah.
So, what else? What else is a takeaway from these clients? It just goes to show, though, the diversity of how people are listening. Dog Catcher, G Potter, Podkicker, RSS Radio, iCatcher, Sonos. Sonos has a decent capture. Opera browser, pretty bad.
Right.
Nokia, Podcruncher, Roku, Kindle by Amazon, iPodder. My God, that's juice. People still using that.
I know, amazing.
Winamp.
That was the original podcast hosting client or listening application.
Okay, so here's a good one. Apple HomePod.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so let me give you some comparison. Now we're talking about 9 figures, over 100 million for Apple. I mean for
Yeah, Apple's
right,
platform.
over 100 million. And we don't include HomePod, which is an Apple product, in the client list. Apple HomePod 6,704.
Wow.
So you cross you take 80,000 shows, and you do the math on that. Yeah, pretty bad. Not even one download per show. BlackBerry's still in the running place. Oh, you'll be happy to know, Zune Marketplace.
It's still working out there. Huh?
4,697 downloads.
Wow. Those Zunes are still rocking the podcast.
Still rocking. Yeah.
After what?
All these years.
9-10 years
now.
Yeah. Being a dead platform. Right?
Zune on Windows Media Center, 1,168.
I'm the one that built that with Microsoft, right?
Yeah. So, it's,
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing that, again, but once you get out of the,
right.
So let me go back to platforms, and I'll give you the actual true breakdown when we group everything together. I'm waiting for it to load again. So again, but it makes me real happy that, okay, so here's the percentage. This would be by iOS, Android, Windows, and then others. So iOS, 65.2%. Android, 22%. Windows, 5.3%. What we call multi-platform, 2.7%. And others, they're kind of like all grouped together. That would be like all the weird stuff, 4.6%. So iOS is still 65%.
Yeah.
As a whole. That's everything. That would be the HomePod. That would be, but that's also including iOS apps. That would be including Pocket Cast, iOS. That would include iHeart iOS. That's really any iOS app.
Right. So what do you think Apple's numbers would do if Apple launched an application on Android?
I've always said it would be, I think it'd be, well, Android users are a little weird. So
it's an interesting question.
Yeah, some of them are anti-Apple.
Especially given that we know that Apple's listening.
Some of them are anti-Apple. Android users are specifically, and I don't know, but I also know a lot of Android users that have Macs.
Right. It goes both ways.
Yeah.
Right? It's the same with Windows too,
Yeah.
right? So, Apple's had iTunes on Windows for years.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It would be interesting to see what would happen in the market if Apple decided to do that.
Yep. Let's talk just a little bit again about countries. The United States, in our system, over 100 million. Canada, 8 million. United Kingdom, 8 million. Brazil, almost 8 million. Australia, almost 6 million.
Mm-hmm.
So our top, again, is United States, Canada, UK, Brazil, Australia, Germany, Japan, France, Czech Republic, this is a weird one, Russian Federation. Throw a country out there that you want to, well, let me go down to the lowest country. Let me go down to the lowest one. Antarctica, 8.
And that number goes up in the wintertime.
Well, they're probably all listeners of my show. I've got a bunch of people that are subscribed to my podcast in Antarctica. Really? A lot, but 3 or 4.
Some server down.
Yeah, some scientists down there. They send me pictures from the ice and stuff.
Right.
Palau is in here. Tonga. Tonga. How many's in Tonga? 170. Samoa, 176. Yeah. Who's the closest to 1,000? Aruba, just over 1,000. Oh, here we go. They're doing the once a month fire tornado warning here to run for about the next 5 minutes. I don't know if you can hear it or not.
No, I haven't been able to.
Yeah. Northern Mariana Islands, 1698. Fiji, 2,000. That's where else. Let's go to find China. Where's China in this stack? Oh, I got to go Apple. Because that was one that was supposed to be the big jumper, right?
Yeah, right.
China to us is 5 figures.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's in there.
Yeah. So how many countries are in over 100,000? $75 countries are over 100,000 downloads. That's pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm. In 1 month.
In
right.
1 month. But the number of countries over 1 million are not that many. 12 are over 1 million. But a lot of them are close. A lot of those countries that are 6 figures are really, really close to 1 million. There's probably about 20 that are close to 1 million downloads per month. Again, these are downloads, folks. These are not unique users or anything like that. This is pure download.
Yeah. So, Todd, I also noticed that Spotify is now supporting HTML format in show notes.
Yeah, and they're kind of going against the spec.
Right.
And we've already gotten tickets on it.
Yep.
And we're kind of like, what do we do? Well, what Spotify needs to do is come up with their own namespace. Because I'm not changing for them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, I'm a little bit surprised that they did this, but in some ways, just from a security standpoint. But
Oh, yeah.
then again, it's great that they are, because it's going to make the show notes much more usable for them, which will be of value to the listeners. So I'm sure that they've had to architect some security walls in the back end of this,
Right.
because that is an issue. Yeah, I see an article that came out about it in on the Spotify blog. So if you wanted to go read more about it, it doesn't really address any kind of security topic, which they probably want to talk about.
I'm waiting for a report to load. We've got a U.S. Metro report. It's basically the 299 or whatever the number is, Nielsen Metro reporting areas.
Oh, right.
So I can go over once this loads the top. Oh, there it finally loaded. This should not come as a surprise. Here are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Well, it's going to be based on population.
Yeah. So New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, Washington, D.C., Seattle, Tacoma, Dallas, Fort Worth, Boston, Mass, Philadelphia. I'm going to load the full list here because there's actually some metro areas that did not. Okay, look, I got a map. I can probably, can I load the map and not?
Yeah, I mean, it would be significant if a large metropolitan city doesn't show up in the list. You know what I'm saying? Or
yeah.
show up very high in the list.
Oh, I can't show this without giving away everything. How can I do this? I can't show this without getting it. Can't block my screen. Maybe I can scrub the screen a little. That's what I need. Oops, now I don't want to move anything. All right, so I can put this up. Okay, I'm safe.
You're safe.
I can hover. So in darker areas are more. So like here's LA County, 2.9 million. Over here, here's New York, 3 million. And then we go over to some of these other areas, Phoenix, Salt Lake, up in the corner, Seattle, hot spot around Minneapolis. So,
And then Chicago, there you see it.
Yeah, Chicago's again. Yeah, you can see it. But let me go back to the list.
Did Atlanta show up high too?
Let me see the full list again. Let's see where Atlanta fell out.
Well, it should show up on that map.
Yeah, I closed the map. Well, let me go back to them. Let's see if I can actually find them where they fall in the stack. Let me get the map.
Like a Miami or
yeah, Atlanta, pretty big. Over 1 million.
Right.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to tell you which one was the worst. I'm going to look at the list, people list. I'll tell you the worst metro area. Now, if you live in Glendive, Montana,
Glendive,
that's a Nielsen area. It's basically a region of area, and they define it as Glendive, Montana. That's probably not a good metro region to target.
Okay.
Believe it or not, Juna, Alaska? Not too bad. Texas,
Juneau, Alaska.
Juneau, yeah, Alaska. Yeah. Not too bad. San Antonio, not too bad. Another bad area would be Alpena, Michigan. Not a lot of podcasts listening in Alpena, Michigan, or in that reporting area. Again, these are Nielsen reporting areas. That makes up a segment of areas. And where else? Where do we get above 1 million? Oh, not too bad. So let me go down here. Keep going down. Keep going down. Going down. Keep going down. So, like Kansas City, Miami,
like Dallas, Houston.
Yeah, Kansas City, Miami, Nashville, Raleigh, Durham, Tampa, all above 1 million. So which one did you want to see here? I don't know if Houston is a...
Tech.
Okay, let me just look at Texas as a so Texas, let's see here. Dallas-Fort Worth, 2.6 million. Houston, Texas, 1.8 million. Austin, Texas, 1 million. San Antonio, 600,000. Waco, Temple, Bryan. Oh, that goes down like 200,000. El Paso, 120,000. Tyler, Longview, Texas, 120,000. Harlan, Texas, 100,000. Odessa, Midland, Texas, 80,000. And then it just goes down. Texas is big, so it's got all these metro areas.
Yeah.
And if we go back up and look at California metros. Okay. Los Angeles, 3 million. San Francisco, just under 3 million. What's the next one? I don't want to go there.
So Todd, I'm looking at a report that was linked to off of Pod News about the top 100 podcasts in Latin America, South America.
Yep.
And it shows the number one ranked podcast had 802,000 downloads in 1 week.
That's in where?
And it doesn't say specifically what country it is. It's just a podcast that's in South America.
Okay.
And that's the number one podcast in this ranking chart.
I'm waiting for Brazil numbers to load.
And number 2 is 566,000 average weekly downloads. And then a podcast from Wondery has 416,000 downloads. And it appears that these are Spanish language or Brazilian language. I can't tell
Yeah,
if
so
it's English or localized language.
I'm having to
but,
do some quick math here, so hang on.
But the network is Radios Grupo Globo is the network, and they show up in this list quite frequently with some large shows.
So in Brazil, oh, that's not the full list. Oh, my goodness. Because in Brazil, we've got 27 reporting areas.
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting for this. I was up to about 8 million in just my quick head count. Downloads for the month of June. And waiting for, so let me go where, how many was that beyond that? I got it there.
Now, this report that I'm referring to came from Trite and
Okay.
the IAB.
Yeah. So if I add all the rest of those in, because I was down to 5-digit area or 6-digit areas, let me go one. I'm basically looking at about 9 million downloads coming out of Brazil of what we measure a month. And Mexico, let's look at Mexico. Again, you just don't know if you're not measuring them, then you're not measuring them, right? So
Right.
I'm just giving you what we have, and I don't have a list in front of me of what that makes up. But in Brazil, I got a heavy usage of PowerPress users, because the plugin is translated to Portuguese.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a lot of people using it. Now, Mexico, that's interesting. Our Mexico numbers are not that big. So I don't know.
It also shows in this a report that the 4 weeks ending July 5th, the top 10 podcasts in Latin America saw a slump in downloads, down over 10%.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for this full list. Let me add this up.
And we're starting to see more kind of content genre app platforms start to launch that are wanting to support a certain genre of podcasts too. One launched. It's the world's first podcast app that is focused on learning and the edutainment segment, and they're launching with iOS and Android apps.
Just to give you a comparison, Rob, we had like
Right.
9 million in Brazil, and
Okay.
I'm under 300,000 for Mexico
Oh wow!
in
That's
total.
a big difference.
Yeah, it's a big difference. So it just shows you we're not getting many people using our tools in Mexico.
There's probably less podcast activity in Mexico than
Or just
further
they just
south,
don't,
no?
or maybe they just don't use our service. You know, so
It's hard to know.
it's hard to tell. Yeah. So
Yeah, I don't have access to the same numbers for Lipson to compare. So
yeah,
I should probably
and
get,
I'm getting more. I'm probably telling more than I've ever have on this show. So in the UK though, well, that's impressive. I got 216 regions I report on in UK.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Let me do some more math here. About 9 million in the United Kingdom, and the top region is Glasgow, followed by Manchester, which are neck and neck. Birmingham, Southwark, Hartford, Bristol, Surrey, Edinburgh City, Kent. We'll see what the smallest area in the UK is for podcast listenership. I'll load the full 216 areas.
Oh boy, a lot.
Like I said,
there's Scotland and Ireland too in that.
Yeah, there's someone dumping. That's why they said Edinburgh. Edinburgh is part of Scotland.
Right.
It's loading. Let's go all the way to the bottom. So the least number Orkney. Does anybody know Orkney is in UK? Orkney has about 1,000. So yeah, Orkney and East Renfrewshire. Renfrewshire. The UK folks are wanting to beat up on me here. Renfrewshire. Oh my God.
Well, and next Wednesday, that's going to be the focus of the show. Is we're going to talk about global podcasting. So this is probably a good precursor to that.
But what's amazing is Glasgow is the biggest number in the UK, followed by Manchester, Birmingham, Southwark, Surrey, and Essex. These are all things we've heard of in all this, the history, the history of Europe. We've heard, a lot of cities there, or regions there that are
well known.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. I don't know what does London fall into. What I don't know.
There's
so
probably
it's probably Glasgow's. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I know that the podcast show that's being proposed in the UK is in the Manchester area. I believe other podcast shows have pretty much always been.
Yeah. Now let's look at Canada as comparison here. Again, it's crunching. Angela's going to call me on Monday. What were you doing in stats over the weekend?
Yeah, you spun up all our servers.
Spun up everything.
Driving up our bill.
But I was in there. I had some other projects going on. I was in there middle of the week last week for almost a whole day. And
what are you doing?
Pulling data and building reports, and just like we're just talking about this now. It's the curiosity killed the cat, right? So our audience is kind of probably like
killing a cat. Yeah.
All right, so let me do the math on Canada.
Well,
Ontario.
Go ahead. Our research has always shown that the West Coast of Canada has always been the highest consumer of podcasts.
Yeah, Ontario by double.
Ontario?
Yeah.
That's on the east.
Ontario, about 4 million. British Columbia, around 2 million. Alberta, 1.5 million. Quebec, under 1 million.
That's interesting.
Yeah, at least for us. Again, it depends on who is the
clients.
The clients. Yeah, that's what it boils down to. What's the lowest? The Northwest Territory. Nunavut, Nunavut, with 646. But that's the province that is the lowest.
Probably the least population too.
I'm sure. Northwest Territory is about 8,000. Yukon Territory is about 12,000. Prince Edward Island, 14,000.
I think that Edison research was per capita.
Oh.
I think not total consumption. You're looking at total consumption.
I'm just looking at downloads.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Total download consumption.
Yeah, for the month.
And I believe that the Ontario and Toronto cities are the biggest cities.
Yeah, I don't know which province Toronto fits under.
Well, it's the closest to the U.S. That's for sure.
Yeah. So I'm going to Google here. Which province is Toronto in? I think it's Alberta. No, it's in Ontario. Duh. I should have known that. Let me go back to where's my report? Ontario. Oh, yeah. Ontario's number 1.
Right.
Yeah. So
Toronto there
yeah, yeah,
is driving that number.
yeah. And Toronto's always had a good podcast preference. A podcast.
Yeah, I've done speaking gigs in Toronto for podcasts, so it's a pretty hot area for the media.
Let's see if I can figure out. I've got a day-to-day report here. See how long it takes this thing to load. I can tell you what at least in June, I've got the July data, but just out of, for some reason I hit June when I loaded this. But let's see what the most popular data published a podcast was on. If I can even tell. Oh yeah, this one's taking a while. So I don't know. We're at the global conference, when they're talking about doing this big deal and you think they can really pull 6,000 people in the environment that we're in today?
Well, it's going to be in mid 2021,
Right.
so it's not like coming up in the next couple months. So hopefully, we have a vaccine in the next 6 months.
Well, I'm predicting October.
Really?
Well, that's what all the news people are saying. It's the October surprise. We'll have a vaccine.
Well, I was surprised when they said that they're already manufacturing large quantities.
Yeah, they said they were going to do that from the very beginning. That was very early on. They said
that's a risky move, isn't it?
Well, they said, hey, whatever, like the top 3 or 4 vaccine candidates, the U.S. government funded those companies. Say, you're in trials, your first trials are through. Let's go ahead and mass produce, and then it's a race to finish. So these companies have already won.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, what if it doesn't work?
They burn it or destroy it. Yeah, right? But if you think about it, it's a smart strategy. And
yeah, it is. I guess it's getting ahead of the game, right?
Yeah, because that way you don't have to ramp up manufacturing. Now, right. And then they're going to say they're going to have a priority list of who gets it when. They're going to say probably first responders, doctors, nurses. They'll probably get it first. Right. People at risk second, and then the rest of us.
It has some benefit, even a lesser benefit, if it can be proved at least to be safe, right? I think
that's the key.
That's the lowest bar hurdle that has to be over.
I've got friends, Rob, that say they're not taking the vaccine. I got people that are anti-vax, and people that I never would have thought were anti-vax say they're not going to take the vaccine. When I was in the Navy over 25 years, I had anthrax put in me. I got shot full of everything. So, right. I mean, everything, I had no choice. Step up here, young man, and hit me with a gun.
Right.
You stand in a line with 300 people, going bing, bing. They're using an injection system that uses air to shoot the thing into your arm. Those are no fun. I'd rather take a needle, but pop, 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 and
Yeah, I'm gonna take it. There's no argument on my side.
I've taken some. I think I could drink gasoline. So don't try that at home.
You don't want to go there.
I don't hardly have any allergies whatsoever. So, fired up. Let's go. But I know there's people that I know say, nope. I'm not taking. Oh, did it load? It's trying to load. Or did I kill it? Last 30, the trending chart. Oh, I may have killed it. Well, we'll see. Hey, Mike, if you're watching, if we start getting tech support requests because stats are down, it's my fault. Yeah, it's not.
Todd's pushing too many buttons.
It's not going to give it to me. Oh, there's a. So I'm looking at our totals here, and let's go back to September. I really shouldn't announce these totals. So between December and January, we saw a significant increase in consumption on our system. Why? I don't know. But in February, we didn't see a drop. I'm just looking at our totals, and everyone said that they saw, it really March. Actually, April was a little bit lower than March. February, main numbers, record highs. June, just a little drop. July, the averages are running. I just don't see. Okay, so I can show this screen. Here's the past. Yeah, I can show this screen because there's no numbers on it. And as long as I don't hover, I don't get fired. Here's the past 12 months of consumption in our system from a chart standpoint. Now here's 2 years. So
been pretty steady. It also doesn't show a big increase either.
No.
Right.
But again, we've got, just like everyone else, we got shows that quit and, new ones coming in, out. Yeah.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I mean, that's not necessarily too unusual to see that kind of a pattern in the podcast. I think a lot of people have this thought that the whole industry is just exploding, but, I think it's all perception.
Yeah.
It's just steadily growing.
Yep. And there were some IEB adjustments in there amongst all that data too. So.
Right. Which didn't help the pattern there. I think the big dip that you saw there was probably the IEB adjustment, right?
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Right.
Yeah. I'm looking at the timeline.
So if you are curious to see about this show that's being proposed in the UK, if you wanted to go check it out, it's at thepodcastshowlondon.com. And it's set for May 26th through the 27th, 2021. So that kind of aligns with a spring time frame for live events coming back. I know, I think the general consensus is that it's probably coming back in that spring and early summer time frame is when we'll see it come back again, depending on what happens, right? If we get this under control, but it may be a little bit, this event is trying to get 6,000 people to show up. That would make it the world's largest podcast.
Yeah.
If they pull it off. But then again, Chris Kermissos is shooting for 100,000.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be hard to hold on to that title. I guess it'd be virtual versus real world. But it does look like that they've got partners signed up. They got Spotify is the lead sponsor of that. The BBC is a partner. Acast, Audio Boom are sponsors of this show already.
Right.
So, but we shall see.
Audio Boom's got the big cash. That big cash to spend around. Where are you guys at?
There. Oh, with this show?
No. Where's Libsyn at in sponsoring? You guys got the big cash.
I
can't say anything.
I think that there's some hesitation, I think, in getting on board with any real world event right now.
Right.
I think that there's like it's a gamble.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is in London, so it's a pretty significant commitment.
Right. I'd want some sort of refund. If it doesn't happen, I want guarantee of getting my money back and all that stuff too.
Right.
We're starting to look at that now as a, if you don't have the event.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably smart that they're starting to promote it, get people involved in it now.
Mm-hmm.
That gives them lots of time to promote it, get people aware of it. I mean, it is a first year event.
Right.
So that'll be interesting.
Yeah. Believe it or not, Rob, we are
at the bottom.
Yes, we are.
Yep.
Outstanding. So, anyway, everyone, thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of our family. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
We definitely appreciate it.
Joining us, and we'll be back again on Wednesday from the PodFest Global Summit on Wednesday at 2:30 Eastern.
Yep.
Till 4:30 in that time frame, and it's going to be a show talking about global podcasting. I've already got Mr. James Cridland's going to join us from Brisbane down in Australia. He's calling it like 4 in the morning or something like that, so he's having to get up early. But I hope to have a few other folks from various places around the world that can call in.
Yep.
I've got a guy that looks like he's interested in calling in from Malaysia to talk about the podcasting space in Asia.
Yep.
And if we can get a person out of the UK to join us too, I think we can have a good roundtable discussion about what's happening in podcasting outside of the US.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Okay. Everyone, thanks so much for being here. Thanks for being part of our family. Everyone, take care. And Todd at blueberry.com, at Geek News on Twitter.
And I'm on Twitter at Rob Greenlee, and that's with 2 E's. And you can send me an email if you want, robg@libsyn.com.
All right, everybody. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time on the New Media Show. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.